Okay, welcome to these two questions on financial matters. These types of questions are quite common on GCSE papers, and you need to know how to go about solving them. Very often they're on calculator papers. Okay, now this first question is about a car dealer offering a new car at a discounted price of 10,290. All right. This is a 16% reduction from its original price. And we've got to find the original price of the car. Well, what you do not do is find 16% of 10,290. Okay, that is wrong. It will get you no marks. We don't know the original price of the car, so we're going to let it be X. That's what we got to find out. So I'm just going to put here X equals original price. Okay, original price, which is what we're going to find out. Now we know that whatever the original price was, if we took 16% of it away, it would give us 10,290. Now if you take 16% away from something, you're left with 84% of it. Okay, and I get that just by subtracting 16 from 100. So what I can say for sure is that 84% of X, okay, is equal to the price given there, 10,290. Now, to find 84% of something, as a decimal, you multiply it by 0.84. So I know that 0.84x equals 10290. Okay. So to find x, I just have to divide both sides by 0.84. Okay. And that's it. And then you put that in the calculator, or, well, in this case, it's a calculator question, or you do the division. So it's that number divided by 0.84. And of course, you should know that if you divide by a decimal between 0 and 1, the answer you get is bigger than the number you started with. Okay, which is what you'd expect in this case. And if you put that on the calculator, you get 12, and it's money, so 12,225 exactly. Okay, 250 rather, exactly. £12,250, and that's the answer to the question. Okay, and these answers are often exact numbers, like that. Right, okay, so the second question is about these two savings accounts, the Super Saver and the Money Maker. Okay, and this is a classic comparison type question. You're given two options here. The Super Saver account pays interest to you on a compound rate, 1.5% for the first year, 1.8% for the second, and then it goes up to 2.1 for every year after that. That's the third, fourth, fifth, and so on. The Money Maker, though, is simpler. It just simply gives you 2% per year. And you can assume these are all compound interest rates. Okay, that's pretty normal in these sorts of questions. Okay, so the investor wants to invest a large sum of money for 10 years. Which account will give the best outcome for the investor? Okay, in other words, which one will make the investor the most money? Well, the thing is, it doesn't say how much is to be invested, but that doesn't actually matter in the problem. We can just call it X, because it's not that matters. Whatever it is, the success rate is going to be proportionally the same for whatever amount is invested. So all we need to do is just start with X, and I would say for the Super Saver, so I'll just label it like this. For the Super Saver, okay, we start with X, Okay, I'd just better say what X is. So I'll say over here, let X equal amount invested. Okay. You shouldn't really introduce variables without defining them. Okay. So that applies to both of these. So X times. Now, if you increase something by 1.5%, then you have 101.5% of it. So what you do is you times it by 1.015. And then that's what you've got at the end of the first year. And at the end of the second year, you take the total so far, which is all of that, and you increase it by 1.8%, which is the same as multiplying it by 1.018. And then at the end of the third year, you have all of that, but then you're increasing it by 2.1%, which is timesing it by 1.021. Okay. And then you're going to do the same. You're going to times it by 1.021 for the fourth year, then the fifth, then the sixth, and so on, up to the 10th year. So in fact, you just need to times it by 1.021 8 times in total, which is where you put a power of 8 there. Okay, and you put that on the calculator, and you get this number here. Now I'm putting it to several decimal places, so I'm getting 1.22016 times X. Okay, because that number isn't terminating. I'm just giving it 5 decimal places. Okay, now I'm now going to do the same sort of thing for the moneymaker. Okay, and that's going to give me X times, well, this is a lot simpler because it's just 2.1%. Okay, sorry, it's 2%. So I'm timesing it by 1.02. Okay, that's increasing it by 2%. Okay, but I've got to do that every year for 10 years. So it's simply that. And if you put that into the calculator, you get 1.21899, 1.21899, and so on. Okay, times X. Okay, now we don't, as I said, it doesn't matter what X is, it's the same for each one because that's the amount you started with. But the point is the first option, the Super Saver, increases your amount by 1.22 times. This increases it by 1.21. Okay, but notice how close they are. You see, if you'd only done it to 1 decimal place, you wouldn't have known the answer because they both would have been 1.2. And quite often in these comparison questions, the two answers are very close. So you need to go to quite a few degrees of accuracy just to be sure. All right, so my conclusion, and you must have a conclusion and a reason. Which account will give the best outcome for the investor? So we need to say that the Super Saver or SS gives best value, okay, or gives best outcome, because that's the word they've used in the question, gives best outcome. And you must say why you know that. Even though you think it's very obvious, Super Saver gives best outcome since, okay, or because 1.22 ... is greater than 1.21 ... Okay, so at that point I only need to go to the second decimal place because I can see the difference. Okay, so that might seem a very obvious thing to say, but you must state it to get the marks. All right, so that answers that question, and that's a very typical set of questions that you could see on a GCSE paper today, usually the calculator paper, okay, because these kinds of calculations would take a long time using non-calculator. Okay, hope that was helpful.